Hi besties, welcome back and happy 2025. I don't think I said that last week, which is a new year, and that is insane to me because I think I'm gonna keep on saying 2024 until like July of this year. Today we are going to be doing another wrap up, and that is our December wrap up, which is super exciting. Honestly, a lot of my December reading was purely just for vibes and like Christmas vibes. So a lot of these books are just like fun winter vibes. Not necessarily like the best books that I will ever read in my life, but for the time of year, immaculate. And I actually did read more than I thought I would last month because it was just like an insane lead up to Christmas and then like Christmas season. And then after Christmas season, literally just so much going on because my boyfriend's birthday is December 26th. So it's like lead up to Christmas, Christmas on the 24th, Christmas on the 25th, his birthday on the 26th, and then like birthday activities after. So it's just really super busy, but I read a lot, so let's get into that. I won't touch a lot on those books just because I have a whole other Christmas book or like holiday book reading vlog, so a lot of my thoughts are there, so I don't want to like overlap with anything, but I will tell you about them because a lot of them were very fun. Starting off with Bright Lights Big Christmas by Mary Kay Andrews. This book is actually on like a big journey right now because I read it, then my mom read it, then one of my family friends or like my neighbors read it, so it was across the street, and now I think it's like 2.5 hours away from me because one of our other family friends is reading it. So it's been everywhere, but it's so good and it's so cute, and I think the general consensus of like everyone reading it has been like, this is just such a cute Christmas book. It literally gave me like all of the Christmas vibes I want, and I don't think I mentioned this in my Christmas reading vlog, but there was also another book that I tried to read before this, and I think it was like The Holly Jolly Ever After, and it was just not what I was expecting. I wasn't gonna put myself through that. I couldn't even get through the first like 3 chapters without like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I put it down, and then I picked this one up, and it was so much better. And like these were my expectations for Christmas books. I rated it a 4 out of 5 stars. I think that the side characters, for me at least, made the book what it was. Like, I love the 2 main characters, but like it was honestly the side characters. Like, there's a little kid in the book named Austin who is so cute, and then Mr. Hines was like an elderly gentleman in the neighborhood who just like made special guest appearances. He had a bigger role towards the end, but like him just showing up, it just like, he was one of my favorite characters, and it was the side characters that like, they just made the story for me. It's about Carrie and her brother Murphy who travel up to New York City to sell their family's Christmas trees because they have a tree farm. So every year they go up and sell their trees, and Carrie has been going up ever since she's been a little girl. Then her parents got divorced, so then it was just her dad and her brother going up. But this year it is her turn to go up because her dad was sick. So she goes up with her brother, and the whole neighborhood knows them because their family has just been going up for so long selling them their Christmas tree. And literally everyone just loves them because like, who could not love a family who sells trees at Christmas? It was just like so wholesome, and Goodreads literally said that it's a holiday romance, but like with quirky neighbors. And it said that it is a romance, but I honestly think like the romance was kind of a subplot because there was more going on with like the family business and the neighborhood community than there was really like romance. Like there was, and that was I would say it's a subplot. The sun is really playing hide and seek right now behind the clouds, so I hope the lighting's not weird. The next book is In a Holidays by Christina Lauren, and I give this one a 3 out of 5 stars purely because I did not like the Groundhog Day-ness of it all. I think it's like the first quarter of the book, it's like Groundhog Day and everything keeps repeating, and I'm like, didn't love it. But again, this was just for vibes. Like, it was nothing serious. I wasn't expecting it to be like a 4th wing or anything. I didn't love it as much as I loved all the other books, but again, this could be because I listened to it on audio, and I need to find good audiobooks because I feel like I'm giving audiobooks such a bad rep, and I swear, like, I don't know like if it's the listening aspect of it for me. Like, I feel like I have to hold something in my hand and like physically like do something for me to get the reading experience. Essentially, this book is about May, and she is up at her family friend's cabin in Utah, and they go every Christmas, and she essentially gets stuck in like a time loop or like Groundhog Day, because something happens at the end of like the Christmas week, and she's like, this is horrible, this sucks, like nothing is going right, universe, just show me what's gonna make me happy, hence the time loop and Groundhog Day. And it does eventually show her like what makes her happy, or like what will make her happy. It made me happy, it made me like giddy at some points. One of the quotes in the book, I think, was one of my top all-time quotes like ever, and I think it was when May was like talking to the love interest, and she's like, I didn't know what love was until I started loving you. And I was like, the fact that that quote like stands out in my brain, like I remember I listened to it and I was like, whoa, we need to go back, we need to rewind, because like that was insane, that's insane. Like Spectacular by Stephanie Garber was a 3.5 stars, and again, it was another one that was kind of like just for the vibes. I bought it because Stephanie Garber is like an auto-buy author for me. Like I just love her stories so much, and this one was focused in like the Carvel universe, not the Once Upon a Broken Heart series, and it was purely like a Tella story. It was just her world and we were living in it. I think what made this book was the illustrations, because oh my god, I will not shut up about them. Like this is, I told my boyfriend I wasn't gonna buy any holiday books. Here we are. Like the illustrations in this, again, like I feel like I show you guys every time when I like pull it up, but like, are you kidding me? Like the illustrations just added, it literally made the story what it was. And I want to bring back illustrations in like adult books, please, because this was such a good experience. Like I will not shut up about it. I will talk to anyone who will listen about this book purely because of the illustration. I feel like I need to inform you guys that my aunt got me Crocs for Christmas, and I've been wearing them as slippers around the house, but she also got me like an elf charm gibbet thingy, and they've been like amazing. I've been wearing them all the time, so I'm wearing Crocs while I'm filming this video, just in case anyone wanted to know. But the next book I have is A Winter in New York, and funny enough, well, not funny enough, this book got a 4.75 stars. I borrowed it from the library and I loved it so much that I got this copy from Book of the Month, because I was like, there are so many good quotes in here that I need, and like this was such a highly rated book for me, which I wasn't expecting. I need my own copy to make notes in and like annotate and then give out to friends so that they can read it, because this was just so good. Like it was literally for the vibes, but then it ended up being so much more than I was expecting. And it's not like a super Christmassy book like the rest of them. Like this is purely a winter book. Like you could read this in any of the winter months, because it starts in Valentine's Day and it ends in Christmas. So like it does that full year loop. Even in like, I would say March, depending on where you are in the world, but March is still kind of like winter here in Toronto. But this was so good. Like it's such a good winter book. Like it gets all the holidays really. This book made me so emotional. You can see it in my Christmas book vlog, but like the way that I got to the end of this and I was like, am I actually like healed in the way I thought I was? I don't know. This is about Iris, and she moves to New York City, and she finds a restaurant, or like recognizes a restaurant that her mom has a picture of in her old journal, and she's like, oh, this is interesting, I'm gonna go check it out. So her mom was like connected to the restaurant in some like way that I'm not gonna spoil, and she ends up befriending the nephew of the owner of the restaurant, and his name is Gio. Iris is a chef, and she ends up agreeing to help Gio try and recreate his family's gelato recipe, because they think it's been lost forever potentially, and she's like, wait, I'm a chef, I can help you. Little does he know that she actually has his family's gelato recipe. So she tries and like helps him figure out like what the recipe is, and through that she meets his family and like falls in love with his family and starts falling in love with him. And I know a lot of people's like qualm with this book is that it's like lies and deception, because she doesn't tell Gio how she knows, or like how she's acquired this recipe. And I agree, that is not the best, but like there's just so much more to this book than that. Like the healing and like, I don't know, I think I just related to it a lot more than I thought I would, and I loved it a lot more than I thought it would. The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year was also purely just for vibes. Like again, all the Christmas books were just for vibes. I gave this a 3.5 stars out of 5 stars, and I love the concept. It was so cool because it was like a cozy rom-com, but also like a mystery not thriller, but like a mystery. And I was like, cozy rom-com mystery. That's fun. That's really fun. I don't know if I just didn't vibe with it because when I started reading this, everything started getting busy. Like this was like the pre-Christmas like prep. Everything's getting ready, cookies, decorating, like wrapping presents, getting presents, like the whole debacle of that. So I don't know if that was like, if that took away from anything. I also read this after A Winter in New York, and that was just so highly rated that I was like, you know, if you know, you know, like coming off of like a highly rated book and then reading the next one and it's not as good, and you're like, it's not that it wasn't good, it's just like it didn't live up to the hype of what I just read. This is about Maggie and Ethan, and they get invited to their favorite author's house for Christmas, which is like wild because I would love that. Elsie Silver, please. But they get invited to Eleanor Ashley's house for Christmas. And then they're there with like her family and some friends of hers. And then Eleanor goes missing and everyone's like, well, that sucks, but like, okay. Like they didn't really like care. So Maggie and Ethan go on this big adventure inside the house trying to figure out like, where'd she go? Did someone murder her? Like what the heck happened? Like why did she just disappear? And it all happens on Christmas. So that's the Christmassy of it all. I finally dove into the cozy fantasy / like romantasy genre, and I read You Can't Spell Tea Without Treason, and I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. This was just so cute, and like the escapism of it all, because again, like I was listening to this a little before Christmas, so like the way that I could just like put in my earbuds and be like, okay, I can just get stuff done and like listen to a cozy fantasy. Immaculate. The vibes were like so good, and I can see why some people like this isn't their kind of vibe, but it was definitely my kind of vibe. It's a sapphic romance and it's just so cute, and like the way that they cared for each other, like oh my god, don't even get me started. Like I just love it. I love it so much. And even though the stakes aren't like huge like it is in like some other fantasies, like it's still like there's still something there. Like there's still like a subplot of like not urgency, but like something's gonna happen, and like it's building up to that something is gonna happen, so it keeps you on your toes. But this basically follows Rhaena, who is a former Queen's Guard, and Kianth, who is the Mage of Ages, so she has all the magic ever, I guess. And they fall in love and Rhaena ends up leaving the queendom. I also love how it's called a queendom and not a kingdom. So she ends up leaving the queendom, which is like huge treason in itself, and she leaves to go start a new life with Kianth because she's like, I'm over it. This is not what I want. I want to go start a life with my girlfriend. Their dream has been to like open a tea shop and a bookstore. And that's literally what they do. And I'm like, if that is not my dream, if that is not like every book girlie's dream, I don't know what it is. Because it's just so like, oh my god, like the way that they did it too, like they had plants everywhere, they had books everywhere, they imported like very unique tea leaves and like mixes into their shop. Like oh my god, it was so fun. It was literally so fun. So they opened that, and then they, in like a small town still within the queendom, but like far enough away to like hopefully not draw attention to Rhaena's being there and like people coming to find her sort of thing. There's still like a subplot of something's gonna happen, because like will the queen find them? Will she get in trouble? Who knows? But there's also a book after this which I didn't know, and it's something about pirates, and I was like, oh, you already know that's on my TBR. My TBR has since grown very drastically, so I need to like reel it in, but that is on my TBR because I think that would be such a fun one to read and just like continue their story. Oh besties, you're not even ready for this one, but I was a beta reader for Mercy of the Dawn, and oh my god, I'm not even just like saying that because I was a beta reader, but like oh my god, I gave this a 4.75 stars, and it has been the only book second to Fourth Wing and The Ballad of Never After that I thought about for multiple weeks after I read it. Like insane. Everyone literally needs to go read it, and I'm not just saying that. Like it is such a good story, and I can literally see this book going viral on like TikTok. I can see so many people loving this book because it's just such a good like fantasy story. I'll mention more about it in my video that I post of like my favorite books of 2024, because yes, it actually did make it onto that list, which is insane because I read it at the end of the year and I was not expecting any more books. But I could honestly go on and on and on about this story and how good it is and how much like healing and emotional like turmoil it put me through, but like in the best possible way. It broke me because like, oh my god, our main character Cyril goes through so much, like so much emotional and like mental, I don't want to say damage, but like there's just so much that goes on, and I was like, oh my god, this girl can't get a break. Like literally one thing after the other keeps happening, and like the mental state that she is in and that she has to like pull herself out of. The character growth, 10 out of 10. The slow burn romance of it all, 10 out of 10. I think I am a slow burn romance girly, and like small towns, slow burn, amazing. I think that's what does it for me. So this book follows Cyril, and it is like a fae kingdom, so everyone is fae, and she is raised by a group of her uncles because her parents, unfortunately, her mom passed away and her dad committed suicide. So she is raised by her uncles in a group called the Rogues, and they are basically hired by a family friend who is also like the rulers of a neighboring kingdom of Riker. So they go help to investigate very mysterious murders that have been happening throughout Riker. There she meets the prince and commander and trainer of like their armies, and he is also the son of the king and queen, and his name is Micah. Or well, his name's Michael, but she calls him Micah. Anyways, they end up despising each other when they first meet, and like vice versa. Like he does not like Cyril for some reason, and Cyril's like, well, why am I gonna like you if you despise me? So she ends up not liking him either, and that's when things go like very, very wrong for Cyril. And the only person who like not the only person, but like one of the only people who like stand by her and help her through all of it is Micah. So do with that what you will. It's so good. Please just read it, because I could literally go on and on and on about this book forever. Lastly, we have Air, which is kind of funny because I started this on audio back in like November, but I didn't listen to it fast enough, so then I got the physical copy because I had to return the audiobook version. But I feel like I should have read Ember in the Ashes first, just for context. It works if you don't, but it's a little confusing, a little more confusing, I feel like, than it would have been if I read Ember in the Ashes first, which is kind of funny because I got that book for Christmas, so now I can actually start that series with context, which is really nice. But this was still amazing. Like, I started it on audio, like I said, and then I got the actual book, but I think the actual book really added, or starting it on audio was good because I could listen to what the words and like the places and the names, how they were pronounced. So when I was reading it, I wasn't making up my own silly little pronunciations that were wrong. I loved the concept of this story, and it was so unique and unlike anything I've ever read before. And I love that because when you start reading fantasies and like romantasies, some of it does start to like get repetitive, not on purpose, but like the same concepts. But this was so different, and this is so unique, and I'm so excited to get into the Ember and the Ashes series because just like this whole world is so unique and different, and I am obsessed with it. This book has 3 point of views, and it did get a little confusing at the beginning because like there was just a lot going on, but then when it started making sense, oh my god, my mind was blown. Like, it was insane because I thought I knew what was going on, and once I like kind of put things together, I was like, oh, like this sucks, like I think I know what's gonna happen. And then I didn't. I was so very wrong. And I think that's what she wanted us to believe. I was very wrong. I thought I saw the plot twist coming. I did not. And then there was another one. And then there was another one. And I was like, oh my god. Okay. And I think I love this book so much because of the twists and the surprises that I didn't see coming that I thought I knew, but I didn't. It honestly just made it so much better. And the amount of hurt and betrayal that I felt when I found out those things, I was like, I shouldn't be feeling betrayed because this isn't a real story, but I felt betrayed. You know that like sinking feeling in your stomach that you get when you're like, oh, I was wrong, or like, oh, something bad's gonna happen? I got that when I read the twist, and I was like, this isn't fair. How did this happen? What drove this to happen? Like, you do really need to turn your brain on for this one. It is not like a cozy fantasy where you can like kind of turn your brain off and just vibe. It's not. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of complex things happening, and you really need to lock in for this one, which is completely fine. This follows 3 characters, hence the 3 points of view, and it follows Aiz, who is an orphan, and she ends up being thrown in prison for a very hot-headed mistake or decision that she made. It follows Quill, who is a prince, and he doesn't want the throne. He doesn't want anything to do with it. But then his kingdom is attacked, and then he really has to start like growing up and making the big decisions he never thought he would have to make ever. And the last person it follows is Saoirse, and she is a tracker who makes a deal with someone from the kingdom to essentially hunt down this murderer who has been killing only children in their kingdom. So she has to find this person, and somehow all three of these stories intertwine at the end. Like, they start separate and then they get intertwined, and you kind of just go from there. This book did things to my brain and to the way I read and to the way I expect like plots to drive and plot twists to twist. Like, insane. 4.75 stars out of 5 stars. I feel like if I read this at a different time and I think if I read the book and there wasn't like a disconnect between the book and the audio, and there wasn't like a 2-week break in between it may have been a 5-star. So here are literally half the books I read this month. I hope you guys enjoyed this little wrap up. Hopefully it won't be as long as some of my other ones, but who knows, because I love to yap. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and welcome to 2025 videos. This is so exciting. I am so excited for this year. I think I'm gonna have a lot of fun things planned, but you know, who knows, because it's hard to plan videos and be working full time. But thank you guys so much for spending some time with me today, and I will see you all in the next video, which will be next week. Bye guys.